It's your back porch commentators coming to you from somewhere in Missouri, where a firm handshake means more than your signature, and a cold drink can help solve almost any problem. That's what we're planning to do here, bring you along on our journey to the answers to life's questions. You'll get a few facts and a lot of opinions, but remember, we're probably intoxicated and definitely full of shit. So pull up a chair and settle in while we explore some of those most thought-provoking questions, like why is a man bun a thing? All right, hello everybody. Welcome back for episode 3 of the B&J on the rocks, and had to move this one inside. Got a little windy outside. Got the speaking of BJ, little wind blowing out there. So moved inside, and so this might be a little different. We'll see. But we're here for week 3, and yeah. So got anything?
Well, sorry for missing the last week there with scheduling conflicts and whatnot.
Oh, that was crazy.
Right.
Both of us. I think we're just too
kids,
much shit.
Jobs, Josh, our
Projects.
projects, and John come down with a migraine and a flu and
COVID.
Yeah, I came down with a scorching case of gonorrhea from Josh's sister. It's just
It's clearing up.
It's gonna happen, Clap on.
You got
clap
the ointment,
off.
did you?
Yeah, clap on, then you get the ointment, and it claps off.
And speaking of that, you know why they call it the clap, right?
Yeah, because they used to the discharge would solidify in the urethra, and then they'd take books and put your dick in it and slam them shut. And that would break it up enough so you could pee. So speaking of which, Josh texted me a little bit ago and told me that he passed the last of his kidney stones. So I just want to give a
good job, Josh. Yes.
Good for Josh there. Really.
You can
really
do it.
Knocked one out of the park, you know what I'm saying? With it.
Good job. All right.
This week, I was picking up my weekly bottle of, Jack and whatnot, the flavor of the week, and I seen this bottle of whiskey, and it's more of a flavored shooting whiskey. I mean, it's 30% alcohol and 70% sugar, basically, but it's made by Florida Georgia Line, and I really was conflicted in buying this one.
And did you find that out after you bought it?
No, that was before.
Oh, okay.
That was before, but
$20.
Yeah, it's like paying a cheap hooker for a blowjob. It is what it is. You're going to get out of it exactly what you think you're going to get out of it.
Yes.
There's a begin, there's an end.
And it's really not bad.
And in between, you've paid a lot more for a lot worse. So, what did you bring? What did you bring here?
I brought the Goose Island Bourbon County Stout, which I had mentioned on the first podcast that I was going to bring the second week, and totally forgot about it. But I've been keeping this. This is a 2019 bottle. You can it's a beer that is aged in bourbon barrels, so you can age it up to 5 years after buying it.
Really?
Yeah.
Like you just leave it in the bottle and it ferments?
Yeah.
That's not bad.
I don't know how well it really ages. I mean, it's already in the bottle, and
right. It doesn't breathe a whole lot in there.
Right. So anyway, but I've kept this one for about 3 weeks now.
I'd say that's good in age.
I've gone through. So I tried one of these.
There's a lot of my relationships that didn't age that long.
Right.
So.
Right. Yes. So yeah, I bought this. Actually, a friend of mine suggested it because I love the Boulevard Bourbon County Quad.
Right.
Similar type of process there. He said you're gonna love this. It's $12 a bottle. So.
Oh shit!
I was like, well, it looks cool if nothing else.
Right.
It's got the cool label on and everything.
And that's like a high-end hooker. See,
it's a high-end hooker.
Mine was like a cheap hooker.
You know what you're gonna really fancy dress.
Right. Yours is like a high-end. You're going to use every second you pay for.
She grooms.
Yeah, you might finish in the first 3 minutes, but those next 57, by God, you're going to talk about your daddy issues. You know what I'm saying?
By God. How'd you know? Oh, damn. But yeah, so he said, "Man, try this," and so I've gone through about 4 or 5 of these now.
Which equivalates to about $60.
Yeah, so it's not something you want to buy a bunch of.
Yeah,
but,
it's not you're drinking in the garage, drinking a 6-pack after mowing the
Yeah.
yard kind of beer.
right.
Right.
And it's a 14.7 ABV, so
It's,
it's one bottle will do you.
it'll probably more than do me.
And I don't really drink it to get drunk, obviously. If I was doing that, I'd just buy a fucking 30-pack of
Natty.
whatever the, cheapest shit is out there right now,
Have you
right?
seen this new popular version of Natty Light? I'm seeing it everywhere. It's all over the TikToks. I don't know. Don't ask me how I got addicted to TikToks. I don't know either. But
Because they're quick and
and I have
entertaining.
ADD, and I lay down at night. And I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna watch 1 or 2 of these, and 45 minutes later, I'm like,
Right. Because they just keep going.
they just keep going. It's just flip and scroll, flip and scroll.
You don't
flip
even
and
have to
scroll.
think about it.
But where was I even going with that? It's just gone.
I do that all the time.
Fucking age.
I do that all the time. Yeah. So, dude, speaking of being busy, something I was thinking about this week with work. So I started this new job a few months ago,
Right.
and anybody that knows me knows that I'm a writer. I write songs, I write blogs and shit,
Right.
and it's something I love doing, and I'm proud of what I write. But I feel like I've been using the analytical side of my brain so much that the creativity is gone.
Well,
I've gone through dry spells. This is different. This is like I can't fucking come up with anything.
well, see, here's the thing about it. For years, you drove that mail truck with me,
Yeah.
so you had hours of brainless activity.
True.
Did all you were stuck in a truck, lost with your own thoughts.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
And
I don't have that anymore.
no, here's the thing: a lot of people would compare that to like lawnmower thoughts. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Like where you're just mowing the yard, you're zoned out, you're doing a job, it's a simple task, and you're left to your own thoughts over
Yeah.
and over and over again. Yeah, but our brains train. Our brains train like that. If you're doing the same thing every day, that's what your brain is trained to do. Your brain is now trained to be analytical.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to go out and do something that's mindless.
I got to force it to
to
get back in. It's
break into your own thoughts again.
definitely more work.
Because you've always been very what's the word I want to think about? Self-aware, and oh shit, my vocabulary escapes me on this one. But you know what your
understand.
inner thought, that damn fucking old Camp Peach Pecan whiskey is kicking in. Is what that is.
What the fuck?
Damn it, Florida Georgia line. If it had if my sentiment had the word bro or ponytail in it, I'd probably been fine and remembered it.
I think their whiskey is just like their music. It's made to dumb you down
And just go
to
a
make you
little
just
numb.
happy just being.
Right, just man, just flow with it. No, I think you've always been self-aware and stuff, and that's partially been environmental, and now your environment
Yeah.
is
I don't even do my nightly walks anymore, and I think that's where a lot of it was coming from lately. I was walking at night, checking the stars out.
right. Well, and I spend a lot of time in my house alone and in a truck alone, and now that Jack's come along though with this COVID shit, he's been out of school, and then my regular nights with him and every other weekend. About 85% of his time is with me.
Yeah.
And his mother's got a second job and stuff, and so my alone time's gone downhill too, which has affected my creativity and like quick wit, and I'm always in dad mode. It seems like even when he leaves, it's hard to relax, and don't even get me started about trying to masturbate. I mean, good Lord.
Now you're taking those dad shits that last 30 minutes.
Right.
Just to be alone
Just
for
to be
a bit.
alone, and there comes the TikTok again. You know what
Yes,
I'm saying?
yes. And 30 minutes turns into an hour, and your legs are asleep, and you have blood
man.
clots. And
That's the worst feeling. After you drop a deuce and you're making. I compare that to like a horrible college girl walk of shame. Everybody knows that you were done deucing 20 minutes ago.
Right.
But you're limping down the hallway, like doing the Terminator, click, drag, click, drag, because you know it's time to get out and your legs are starting to hurt. And if you don't motivate and move, you might possibly stroke out on the shit, or you might pull an Elvis
oh,
without the PB and bacon sandwich. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Right.
Or banana sandwich, whatever. Anyways.
yeah, all of it.
right.
Put bacon on there too. Shit.
Yeah, hell, I would.
Yes, that's I don't know. I got to get back into that somehow because that's my my goal in life. As much as I like technology,
It numbs you.
oh my god.
It's got to be monotonous a little bit. I mean, especially when you've been in the field as long as.
Yeah, and so
have.
and then I realized, okay, my last 3 jobs, so about the last 15 years, there was a little bit of work to get started.
Right.
All right, and then it became kind of just brainless for the most part. It was the same shit over and over again, in different ways, but
Right.
it was like, oh wow, okay, you can't access it. Let me restart it. Okay, there you go. Did you turn it off and on again, right? And
Control Alt Delete.
and then now, dude, this job, I'm trying to get back into. I've always been like more of a server / kind of just PC guy,
Right.
And now I'm getting back into like learning networking, phone systems, shit I haven't done for so long now that it's like, oh fuck, I'm spending half my day learning.
Right.
At 38 years old.
Oof.
It just gets harder.
I get that, which is
Learning.
awkward because usually the older you get, the less hard it is. I mean,
yes.
is what I hear
There's a pill
anyways. Speaking of which, I turned 38 here in a few days.
Yeah.
So happy birthday to me.
October,
I'm just
right?
gonna be an arrogant shit. And yeah, October, right.
I literally don't know where that came from.
It could have been worse.
Uh,
No, so yeah, it's hitting me kind of hard. Like it's not quite like 30 hit me hard. Like
Really?
I was like casket shopping at 30. You know what I'm saying?
oh, shit.
But I never thought I'd make it past 30, let alone pushing 40 2 years out now.
There for a while, you were living pretty fast.
I still do.
Still
I just
do.
don't get caught. I'd slowed down. Yeah, there. Well, I'll tell you what. 2011 was an alcoholic borer. 11 and 12.
Yeah.
Honestly, the last half of 10, 11. There's about 2-3 years in there.
Let's
that's-
just say since I graduated to high school.
right. I mean, yeah, I don't even know. And when you're sleeping with women, the thing about this is when you're in that drunken phase and you're just sleeping with women and
I
picking
nod
up
as if
women
I
at the
know.
bars. I mean, yeah, you're sleeping with women that's body counts are higher than Hitler's. It's really that joke's for you, Josh. It's hard to look back and question. At that point there. I mean, here's my thing. There's a God at that point because how I come through those 3 years with no tickets, no accidents. No job loss, no, contrary to popular belief, I've never had an STD, STI, STU, ABC 1, 2, 3. I've never had any of those. Thank God, and yes, I've been tested because I'll tell you what. One time I had a urinary tract infection, and it was only a couple of years ago, and I was like, God, wouldn't that be the shits? I go through my whore phase, I slow down a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. And
Then this shit comes
and
creeping.
then I randomly get it. And I think I was only, banging one girl at the time. And I was like, how in the hell? Dude, that means if I didn't do it, then that only means one other person could have done it,
Yeah.
And I went there and the doctor was like, look, I'm going to have to test you for STDs because, to be honest, men rarely get an STI. And I was like, well, why is that? And they're like, because your urinary tract, your urethras are so much longer than females. That's why it's common for them to get it in their bladder because they have a short urethra. And I was like, obviously, you've never seen my penis.
Quite short.
Yeah, I'm going to do you a favor that I don't do any of the other women because it was a female doctor. I'm going to tell you now, it's a short one. And she wasn't bad looking for 40. And I got to be honest, I don't see how people get aroused during that kind of test because I could not. But anyways, completely clear. It was an STI. My dick is not that short. I actually, here's something else embarrassing for you. I'm going to just throw this all out there right now. get it out there in the podcast. If John wants to edit it, he can.
Like the first week.
Right, because he's the smart one. I'm just here for a ride on the technological freeway. But so I was recently speaking with a girl, and we were talking about her body count. Okay, and it just somehow came around that, you know, her preference in sizes and whatnot, and I was like, well, I don't even know what the average size is anymore. You know, you look it up statistically in the United States, the average penis size, boys, ready for this, is 5.4 something inches.
Really?
Yeah, they got it down to the thousands on this.
Is the radiation creeping in over
I don't know, it's
generations
like
or something?
5.435. Well, here's the thing: all the boys are getting taller, you know, and more muscular. So it would think to me that naturally your body would acclimate to that sizing.
Yeah.
You know, because you're never going to meet like somebody that's 6'6" that has a toddler dick. But then again, I've known really short guys that, you know, leaned on themselves when they were drunk, like a kickstand.
Fucking
So, but
snuffleupagus.
right, so the average size, length and girth, and I was like, okay, well, I haven't measured myself since I was like 17, and it made me cry so hard at that point. I was like, I'm never measuring again. But this girl got the better of me, I'll be honest. I woke up one morning. It was a glorious morning. And you know what I'm talking about when I say that. Oh, yeah. Like, I opened the bedroom door and accidentally hit it with a doorknob. It was one of those mornings because I sleep book-ass
Good
naked.
morning, America.
Yeah. I
How
was
are
salute. So I went out and I was like, fuck it. I'm letting the dog out and I'm walking through the garage buck-ass naked. And I just happened to see the tape measure over on the toolbox. And I went ahead and pulled it out and I measured myself. And I am proud to say that I am above average by about 20%.
A tenth of an inch counts.
Yeah, right. And I don't know if this will, you know, because even 5.4 at 20%, you're still like, that's really, you know, you're not packing like a super bunch of heat. But I was over the old average of what I thought, and I was proud of myself at that point for that.
But
and,
you can figure then at least you can hold your own with any woman that's been with 3 or 4 guys.
Right. Well, right. Yeah.
Or
like,
10.
like I'm not gonna hit the bottom of the tuna can, but I'm gonna stretch
Right.
the fuck out the sides. You know what I'm saying?
you know.
I mean, you know, I'm just saying. Like, if Noah would have had my dick around when he was building the ark, the nails would have been a lot deeper. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would have hammered that some bitch in. But so I was, you know, that's just there's not a lot in my life that I'm like, yeah, I'm happy about this. Like,
Yeah.
I've got most of my hair for being 40. You
Yeah,
know, I mean,
right.
and you do too. So that's something you brag about. Like, you're not like the best in shape. You're not sporting 3% body fat. You know, you got a few wrinkles, you got a few grays, but you still got
all
hair, and I'm an above average penis, and it still functions. So I'm riding this one out. You know,
right.
At 38, I'm riding it out.
Yeah. Now, and to compliment you, now, speaking of, you know, not losing a job or, you know, getting arrested during that time.
Right,
Right.
You should have been, but no.
No, but I think what sets you apart from other people who would have fucking lost a job is your fucking work ethic. Because even though you may have been fucking hungover, wasted, whatever, you still showed up to work and did the job
Right,
because that's how you were raised,
right.
you know, and that's
Yeah.
how I've always known you.
I
And,
appreciate that. That's
I'm sure that had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of times, yeah, you know, and you've never went without work either,
How about a week?
between like
After
a temp job or
losing
something.
a job and then trying to get another one, it was about a week, and then that's 3 weeks without pay. One of those kind of
Right.
deals, you know. And it's like, fuck, I thought I was gonna die.
Well, yeah, because you had a family to support.
Yeah,
You've had a family to support since you got out of high school,
pretty
essentially.
much.
So, you know, and that's something to be said for you too. I mean, we could, like I said, working together, it's, you know,
And for a lot of that time, I had more than one job.
right. You
'Cause I
had
had
2
to.
and 3, and yeah, I know that. You know, my first job was my stepdad took me over to his brother's house, and this guy had like an old Farmall M with the skinny front end, you know, the 2 tires up front.
Yeah.
And he did farmer's market. That's what he did to make a
Oh, yeah.
living. He was not a huge farmer, but he did the little farmer shit on a bigger scale, you know, big gardens and shit, and
Sure.
went to farmer's market. And that's, you know, he did a few things, but that's primarily what he did. And I went out in those fields, and I would pick weeds by hand in
Wow.
those fields for the pocket change at the end of the day.
Yeah,
And that was my summer job. And I was probably, well, we were still living on the ranch, so I was probably 8 or 9. and I did that 2 summers. And you know, when you're raised with my mom, one time we went to a store, and this isn't a pity story. It's just, you know, when you're like 7, 8,
Right.
9 years old, and an adult makes a comment to them, it's just a comment in the wind.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted the cereal that I'd seen in an advertisement, and she was like, "No, we're not getting that. We can't afford it." Well, to me, in my little head, we can't afford it means we're about to starve, means we're going to lose our house. You know, by the end of the night, when I went to bed that night, you know, I was like, "Governor, may I have some
Yeah.
more, please?"
Right.
You know, it was, you know.
Now,
and
speaking of that, this
it's
is how
ingrained in you.
my parents found out that we used to listen in on their conversations.
really,
We listened to more than they thought we did because Mom would say, "No, we can't afford it this week,"
right,
and we would say, "Can't you write a check?" Because
right,
that's how you pay bills,
right. Because in those days it
Because,
wasn't electronic.
Well, I guess we can write a check for it, right?
right.
And it'll not go through till maybe next week, right?
Right.
If we're lucky.
Right, and but that was before everything was
Yeah, can't do that
instant
now.
and electronic. And yeah, you put a check in, and it posts to your account by the time you're out of the drive-through. You know. No, you're right. That was I remember those days. Yeah, riding check to check. It was
Yeah.
literally living check to check because
Yeah.
you were. Not just the paycheck; it was the checks that you'd
checks that
written
were out there floating
Right.
somewhere.
Yeah, hope to God that the mail was slow.
You usually go to the bank on Thursday, right?
Right?
Okay. Let me go ahead and write this for you. You just hold on to that for about a week, right?
I'll tell you what, and the economy now makes, as a business owner, it's made me more aware of this,
Oh, yeah.
as far as this, because I've actually had one customer in particular that told me, and he's always been a good customer. He might get delayed, like his wife forgets to mail the check or something, but
Yeah.
you mentioned to him, mail a statement, it's done. I've mailed a statement. It's been 3 weeks, and it was 3 weeks before that delivered. So I've been sitting on a full truckload of fuel for 6 weeks at this point, and he's trying to hold on to his grain and pinch pennies, and I'm like, it starts in the 80s. The farmers talk about what was called Black Friday, when all the banks called in their loans and people were left,
Yeah.
seed dealers and fertilizer and fuel was all left, and I'm starting to wonder if that's not where our economy is getting to pretty quick, because back in the 80s people didn't overextend themselves quite as much as we do now, and
Right.
now it's a way of life to overextend, and the interest rates have been cheap, and when we were kids, to
Yeah.
buy a house, the interest rate on a home was 9 to 10%.
Right.
Now it's like 3.
If
I
you're
heard a guy
paying
the
more
other
than
day.
3, you're like, what?
Right.
You have shitty credit?
Yeah. There was a guy that I heard talking the other day, said he had 2.9. He'd retired, and him and his wife had downsized. Well, then their kids got old enough, started having grandkids, and he decided he wanted a house with some land. So they went out, and he was like, I could have paid for the house with my, money out of my CDs and Roth and whatever else. And he goes, but it's free money at 2.9%. And, I've got family that just bought a house, and they got like 3.1. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
It's crazy.
so everybody's overextended themselves now. I just wonder where this is going to.
It's 2008 all over again.
Oh, I think it's going to be worse in the long
yeah.
run. It's not going to hit as quick as 2008. But
Yeah.
it's going to continue to.
Farther reaching.
Right, we're not on it. We're not done yet.
Yeah.
So, COVID shit.
That sucks. Yeah. Man, who knew 2 months ago
Right,
that this is where we'd be?
right. It's kind of like, have you ever gotten sick and then you're sick for like a week and a half, and you're like, God, I just can't remember what it's like to breathe through my nose, or I can't remember what it's like to speak without my throat hurting.
Right.
Like, I don't, at this point, even a few months in, I don't remember, like, we just took it for granted more than I think,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
realized.
Yeah, I agree with that.
If I lost my job, though, after doing this podcast with you, I want you to know that I've made a career choice already. I've made a career choice. I'm going to be a radio DJ. Do you
Yeah.
know why?
Why?
Because I've already got the perfect taglines, like, up next, somebody grab a towel because it's come on Eileen. Like I've been practicing for years in a truck. I know exactly. I won't
Yeah.
make dick off of being a radio DJ. Maybe I could get a sporty gig like Sirius or something, and maybe we could be Howard Stern
Hey, you
Jr.
can talk shit on sports for a while.
Yeah, why not?
Shit, listen to those guys lately. They ain't got nothing to talk
Nothing
about.
to talk about.
They are like, oh, it's hurtful sometimes.
Well,
It's
if they would just
hard to listen to.
if they would just go back and talk about Tiger's some of his affairs, I mean that would be at least an hour or two, right?
Well, I think they're so thankful for. There's this this Last Dance documentary about the Bulls, the Chicago Bulls,
Doubles.
last year with Jordan and Pippen and all that,
Right.
You know? And thank God they've had that because it comes out on Sunday. They've had, I think, 7 or 8 episodes, something like that. It comes out on Sunday. They talk about it all fucking week long.
Oh God.
That, and then now they're finally like, well, when are we going to get back on the field? When are we going to get back on the field? And then they argue about risk over reward of that. And it's
Right.
like, Jesus Christ, come on. Just
Put the
can't talk about
1985
anything.
World Series on and
Just
let's call it a
replay
day.
some shit.
Yeah.
they've done that too.
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I'm not trying to be a dick here, but most of the armchair warriors are sitting at home watching these games, reliving their high school glory days anyways.
Right.
Just put some old games on. Hell, I'll watch a baseball game from 1985.
They're watching Korean baseball now.
Oh, no shit.
Just to watch live
Something.
sports.
Oh, man. Throw some old George Brett
That's
on. Or here's
amazing.
an idea. Throw some old ball games on from like the 50s. Like just go straight black and
Ooh,
white, like
yeah.
the 60s and shit, you know?
Yeah.
When there was some sportsmanship and there wasn't like, you know, the Enzo dance and shit like that. And
Oh,
let's see, you know, maybe it'll bring back some class.
Right.
You know, to the,
Okay, so here's my thing. A little bit of celebration in the end zone.
right.
Cool. Okay.
Whatever. Yeah.
It gets a little crazy these days, but they got guys celebrating a first down. I'm like, you made it 4 yards. Like, what is there to celebrate? Act like you've done this before, okay? Get over yourself.
That's the same people that have rodeo sex.
Right.
8 seconds, I win. They throw their hat across the room. I didn't even get my socks off. Yeah, well, I did.
Find out how your shit works.
Yeah, learn to communicate. Jesus, I can't read you like a book.
Oh, man.
You know, and I don't know a lot about sports. You know, I know enough to talk a little bit and keep people entertained.
I'm
That's
not even
about
really
it.
a sports guy. I follow the Chiefs and the Royals, and I used to watch basketball. That's about it.
Right.
So I know about sports more than I'm a sports guy. I can't. So I posted this thing on Facebook a couple weeks ago, and I was like, people that participate or pay attention to mock drafts are even worse than the football fantasy guys, the fantasy football fucking guys. Like, it's what the fuck waste of time do you got that you're gonna like mock draft? Like, we're gonna pick these guys before they're even picked, even though they're gonna be picked next week.
Right.
We want to pretend like we're doing it now. Like, what the fuck?
I'm pretty sure that's like masturbating to foreplay videos.
It's
like
amazing.
an instructional
Yeah,
foreplay
right.
video.
Right. And it's like, I can't believe the people that got so pissed off about that. And I was like, really? That offended you? Okay. All right. Well, sorry.
And you wonder why your wife's on the third time watching 50 Shades of Grey.
Right. Because you're having another fantasy football meeting with the
yeah.
guys.
I don't know, man. I never got into that.
I
just
didn't either.
Didn't have the patience
I don't
or
know
the
any of
time.
their names or anything. I couldn't fucking do that.
Oh, shit.
Anyway, on the economy, one thing I was thinking about this week was somebody mentioned that the wind farms and shit
Right. In
is-
Nottaway County.
Yeah, are so over time they say they're not any less expensive than coal or anything else.
Right. And their lifespans aren't half as
Right.
long as what they were talking about.
Or they
So-
said they were going to be, right? So,
Right.
yeah, now that sucks. They got to figure that shit out.
Right.
But here's my thing, and we can discuss it. Say we break even financially
Right.
on the wind.
And we've got the clean energy out of it.
Right,
And it's cost the same amount, though.
right.
Right.
And so, cost-wise, same.
Right.
People paying the same because whatever, it costs the same to do. But it's
Right.
renewable, whatever. My bill hasn't gone down. You
Nope.
know? So whatever. So if we just break even, okay, but we're at least using quote unquote clean energy now.
Right.
Isn't that good enough? I mean, it could be better, right? And I'm kind of torn on this because, so speaking of my songwriting, I have a song called "Shutting Out the Lights," and I wrote that after watching a documentary on the coal mining industry, and how so many of these towns, like in Kentucky and Virginia and all this, basically like thrive on
That's it.
this industry, and that's it. Without that, there is no town.
Right.
And now they're shutting down these mines, and the town is closed up. There's nothing there
There's
anymore.
nothing left. Yeah.
These people don't have any other industry there.
And the land's not worth anything.
Land's not worth anything because there's no income coming in,
Right.
and for those people to now go to college to try to learn how to use computers, what the fuck are they gonna do in fucking middle of nowhere Kentucky?
Yeah. They're still not worth anything. Yeah.
And man, can you imagine? I mean,
That would
as
be-
much as I am for progress,
Right.
right? To just leave all that behind like
Oh
that.
yeah,
It's like,
and they're faced with some hard decisions. As far as the one thing I will argue, the people that put them in, the people that maintenance them, they're completely a plague on our little towns. I'm sorry,
I've noticed.
they are leeches. They try and bang married women. They're at the bars, fucking. Every night getting shitty, which fine, they're stimulating the economy, but they're getting in fights. They're fucking, they park everywhere. They tear the roads up. They, it's
Because they're just
I
going
don't know how many
up and leave
accidents
when
that
it's
they-
over.
Yeah, on these little roads that they've almost caused. I travel a lot of the back roads that they've also been putting. There's people that have lost cows. There's people that have lost fences, and now they recoup. They pay them back for that. But here's the thing, on their standpoint from things. Somebody making a stupid decision because they don't want to deal with it. They're getting paid $30 an hour and they're being lazy and they take a shortcut. That farmer might be out of cow and they might get reimbursed for it financially, but they've still got to deal with it. They're still waiting on that money. There's still time that they have to spend doing it that takes away from anything else they're doing. And not to mention,
And future money.
oh yeah. And there's,
Yeah.
and they, I don't know how many accidents I've almost seen or been involved in, or heard about people. I mean, I talked to a customer last week, and he said that a gravel truck pulled out in front of him on a highway, a 2-lane blacktop highway. And he said, if I would have left my driveway a few seconds earlier, he goes, I wouldn't have got that truck stopped in time.
Yeah.
He goes, I could have killed somebody. And, that's, I don't know. I think I mentioned that in another episode maybe too, but it's just, you drive up on Maryville at night, and it's just a sea of blinking red lights now.
All of Northwest Missouri
Yeah.
anymore is becoming that.
Yeah, it's really,
Apparently, we're in the middle of a wind area.
Yeah, well, and that's why Holt County always did a lot of good agriculture, was because they have this windswept dirt that supposedly blew in from the Rockies after a volcanic explosion, and that ash all settled out here, and that's what's made the carbon count and all that shit in the soil and the nitrogen and all that stuff good.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. But, yeah, I didn't realize it was so windy up here until I moved back from Columbia.
Somewhere else.
Yeah, and I come back and I was like, man, anytime it is warm, it's windy here. My great aunt, 80-something years old, she's like, you've never noticed that before? She just looked at me like I was a dumbass.
Well, I fucking lived here. All my
Yeah,
life.
it's all I knew. I grew up, I spent time in Texas and stuff, but
Yeah.
hell, it's hot and humid. It's a completely different climate. You don't notice the change, You
If
you're
it's
in a
windy,
climate
it's just
change.
hot.
Right. You just know it's a climate change. You come back here and it's just home still,
Right.
You move 200 miles down the road and you're like, crap, you mean you can have 75, 80-degree days without there being 40-mile-an-hour wind?
Right.
I didn't know that. Shit. You want to bust open that beer?
I will do that.
You have a bottle opener? Or...
I got my keys.
Hold on.
Oh, wait. I do have. Look at that.
Oh, by God.
Forgot about that. Oops, excuse
Drinking
me.
and driving, kids. Don't do it.
Nope.
It's his house keys, not his car keys.
This is the Goose Island Bourbon County Stout. Look
Oh,
at
damn.
that motor oil coming out of there.
That is dark. That's darker than my humor.
And you've all heard that,
Some of it.
so you know what we're talking about here.
In my defense, though, a lot of people base, their humor off like true life experiences, you know.
Yeah.
Mine's more based in a Barstow of an Econo Lodge, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just...
Yes. No, speaking of comedy, this is another thing I was thinking about. So we've talked about Bill Cosby
Right.
on here. We've talked about some of the cancel culture. I think we've talked about that anyway. If we haven't, we should.
That's like a soda pop, a beer,
Right.
and chocolate mixed together.
And chocolate. Right.
Damn.
It's delicious. If you can find it, get it. It's
Speaking
not
of-
a lot out there
This
anymore.
is probably like drinking Bill Cosby's semen right here. You're just in... yummy, creamy, gooey chocolate.
You'll go to sleep in a minute.
I'm going to sleep like a hooker, like a drugged up hooker. Kind of like a baby, just a lot dirtier.
And speaking of that, on Bill Cosby,
Yeah.
and the other thing, Louis C.K., you know, and some shit, you know, in the middle of this shit. So these guys made some bad decisions. Bill, a lot worse,
Yeah.
obviously.
Right.
I mean, you go to
Years.
prison for it. For what, 60 years of date raping women, right? Here's the question, and this has been posed, and you've probably heard it.
Mm-hmm.
Does what he did negate his comedy? In other words, is his comedy still funny? Can you still laugh at it based on what he did? In other words, if we found out that Michael J. Fox looks so young still because he's eating babies at night, right? Do we still like Back to the Future, right?
I would have to say yes, because I am working on a flux capacitor in my garage right now. Gosh, that's really, I mean, that's like saying, throw out another Jew joke here. That's like saying you have to appreciate Hitler's artwork as an artist, even though
Yeah.
he was painting with the ashes. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't, it was oil based. I'm
Whatever.
kidding.
It was, right?
Gosh, that's a hard one to really
Yeah.
answer. I mean, because you're based with a voice of reason, but also a moral conflict.
Yeah.
And usually, I base most of my decisions off of two things: logic and my dick. And
Which is not logical.
right, which is not. There's only enough blood for one at a time. But seriously, like gosh, you know. I think that you, in your mind, have to segregate his art from his personality.
Right.
I really do.
That's where I'm at, too. Because so here's the thing. At the time,
Right.
when you first hear about it, you find out, oh, shit, this is real. Okay?
Right. And Bill Cosby's been out of the loop for a little bit now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not been mainstream for a while.
But, man, I listened to him from the time I was little, you know? And so I grew up on his comedy.
Right.
And the Cosby Show and all that shit. And it's like, and you hear all that and you go, what?
Right.
Dr. Huxtable is
Right.
raping women?
I mean, he was the
kind
first. He was the first guy. He was the first black guy I really knew in Pickering, Missouri, growing up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right,
I mean, I spent
right.
time in Dallas, but you know, by the time I hit elementary school, I was in Pickering. First grade, we started at Pickering. Him and Carl Winslow.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that's how
Right.
black dads were. I mean,
Right.
I didn't even know who Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was
Right.
until, you know, one of my friends got satellite in like third or fourth grade. You know. I mean, shit. So I think you have to really, because here's the thing. Our generation, right now in this culture, we have so much good communication, and we don't talk about how to progress life. We don't talk about, we've lost communication in the home. We've lost communication with our spouses. We've lost communication with our kids. But meanwhile, we're communing about what everybody else has done wrong and any
Right.
juicy piece of gossip that you can find out there.
20 years ago,
Somebody
this
could have
guy
been.
dressed up as blackface or something.
Right.
you know?
It was Blazing Saddles. Perfect.
Right.
Although,
You
what was
couldn't
it? Have
make
you
that
seen
anymore, could
Django?
you? I have not, and it's
Okay.
on my list, and I can't get around to watching it.
It's a good movie. Just prepare yourself, because here's the thing. I have heard the N-word dropped before.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It
Right.
doesn't really offend me. It's not something that I vocally, express.
Right.
It's not part of my daily vocabulary by
Right.
any means, but I'm not offended by it either. It is what it is. That movie, I wouldn't say offended me, but I was by about 15 minutes in, I was like, and it's like a 2.5-hour movie. By 15 minutes in, I was like, they seem to be dropping this
Oh yeah.
a lot. And Jamie Foxx is in it, and he uses it, and it's a Quentin Tarantino film,
Right.
so everything's
Okay.
going to be 25% over boundary.
Right. It's over,
just because that's what he does. Blood, guts, gore, cussing, whatever. It is what it is. But I was just like,
Can you imagine if he made an intellectual movie?
right.
How over
It
the
would be-
top
it would
intellectual
be-
would be?
It would be mind blowing. Like Stephen Hawking's would stand up and clap. You
Right,
know what I'm
right.
saying? But getting back to the point there, the things that Bill Cosby did, actors and politicians and Harvey Weinstein and all this stuff has gone on for years. And because of a lack in time of communication and the fact that it wasn't coming from point A distributed to 15 million people, it was coming from point A to point B. It was all hearsay. It was passed down person to person. Half the stuff never got passed on. Half of it was so atrocious that by the time it got to the 15th person, nobody believed it. Newspapers were 3 days behind.
Right.
This shit has gone on for years and generations. And, it's just... We're just quote unquote blessed enough to hear about it.
Yeah.
And the people are screwed. I mean, think about it. You can't even run from cops anymore because all they got to do is knock on some good Samaritan's door that has a blue light bulb outside that supports police,
Yeah.
and they'll use their Ring doorbell camera
me
to
your
pass
videos.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you can't do when we were kids. You can't even do ding dong and ditch anymore.
Right.
So let alone on the scale
Remember
of
when
Bill
Star
Cosby.
69 became a thing?
Oh
And
yeah.
you're like, shit.
Damn it! There goes
fucking-
that. I remember prank
Can't
calling.
call people
Yeah.
anymore.
So let alone doing something like Bill Cosby did and thinking you'll get away with it.
Yeah. And I'm kind of with you. I think I can compartmentalize things like that.
Oh yeah. Well, we're men, and I'm not
at first
not trying to be sexist, but
Right.
we as men, that's how we're chemically engineered, is to segregate and
put that shit over
compartmentalize.
there.
Yeah. We'll go to work with a smile on our face. We'll come home and finish the argument. Women,
Yeah.
God bless y'all. I'm just saying you're the stronger, gender in some things, and everybody has their strengths, and it's just more common. I
Wired
think.
differently.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's more common for men to just compartmentalize, like you said.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Although
And-
I will say women are very much better at hiding their emotions than we are in that same sense. Like they will hoard that shit
Oh. And their memory.
forever. Oh, yeah.
They can remember everything.
Right. I mean, you could be like, honey, could you just give me 15 minutes of silence? I don't want to talk. Well, it's too bad you couldn't talk about, couldn't remember not to talk when you were, at the bar with your buddies and you told him I had a third nipple. That was 12 years ago. It was our
And it
third
wasn't your
date.
nipple.
Yeah, it was our third date. I was just sharing a joke with a buddy. If you didn't want me to see it, you shouldn't have pulled it out at the Waffle House. It was back when I used to see your nipples, at least. Anyways, I'm going a different direction with that argument now.
Right.
That's the difference between men and women, I think. There. But no, I would agree with you. I'd
Yeah,
have
I
to
think-
compartmentalize.
I
Gotta
think
appreciate it.
the first 5-6 months after it happened, or after we found out about it,
Right.
Then it's like, oh shit, I'm just gonna
Yeah, you don't mention his name.
yeah, we'll just avoid all that, and the records, the records go to the bottom of the pile.
Right.
We might not listen.
I'm not
to these
tossing
again,
them, but
I'm
I'm not going to
gonna
put them
throw
out on
away.
display. Yeah.
Right. Now I'm kind of like, let's throw this back on there. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't know. It's there's been a lot of people that have, after they passed, it's historically come out that they were
Oh
some
my goodness.
twisted individuals. I
Yeah.
mean, you never would have heard JFK was a man whore when he was in office.
Right.
Everybody knew it. It was just wasn't public knowledge and discussed
Right.
among. Just saying.
Come a lot, as
Right.
George Carlin called it.
Right. Right. The age of Camelot.
Yeah.
I heard that man was so busy he averaged a 3-minute sexual encounter. Not because he didn't want to enjoy it, just because he had shit to do. He's like, hey, I got a job to do. I'm going to knock this out with you, and I'm going to go, calm the Russians down so they don't bomb New York. Okay,
You
are
wanna get
you
this
good
done?
with? Can we skip foreplay so I can save New York? Are you good with that? I can't seem to find my pants, so if you could just set on my cock while I do this, it would keep my balls very warm.
That's why they closed the backside of the desk
Right.
so you couldn't see it. Yeah.
Don't be a square. You're in the Oval Office now, baby.
Did he have cigars?
I don't know. I will tell you one thing. He likes two things topless: his women and his car.
Oh, true. Yeah, we
Too
can't do that
soon?
anymore.
Too soon? Yeah,
I
no.
didn't go fishing with a guy.
Right. That's mind blowing.
It's always too soon for some people, right?
That's what the girls tell me, anyways.
That took a second.
They did the top. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you're on it
Mind
now. Oh shit.
Yeah. This is good, though, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Bill Cosby's semen in a glass. Let's see here.
There's still more in there.
Goose Island Bourbon County Brown Stout. Because if you want to know what Bill Cosby's semen would taste like, since you were asleep, drink this.
That tastes familiar.
Hold on, I'm having a flashback.
Flashbacks, right?
Just go Wayne's World. Diddle, 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 diddle.
Oh man, that's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
you know, and that's another part for me as far as cracking these jokes go. It's hard to crack joke, because the one brain says you want to go for younger women. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But then you crack a joke and you're like, ha, that was funny, right? And they're like, what do you mean? Like, hold on, I got to take a selfie. Let me take a
Well,
selfie.
I gotta check with Twitter and see if it's funny or not.
Right. I'm like,
I gotta check with my blogger in the morning to find out if I really think it's funny and if it's okay
if you
to
were
laugh at that.
if you were 40, you'd like me better.
Right.
But then again, if they were 40, they'd probably know what an
She's
asshole I am.
55 now. She was 40.
Yeah, right. Oh God, I haven't thought about that in a while. But she was 18 years older than me, so that would put her at 56 this year.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, but I was 19. She bought beer. I thought it was cool, and yeah,
I remember that.
I'm glad it didn't get
Not
serious
all of it.
because although think about it now, if I was dating her, I'd get all the good parking spots and discounts
Hey,
at
you know?
AMC theaters because she's part of the AARP.
Like, you got AARP, right? She's like, shut up. Yes, I do. But
No, actually, she'd be like, "What?
yeah.
Huh?
Let me turn this up a little bit.
I don't have my belt on. Your belt on? Yeah, my belt on.
Yeah.
Your belt on, honey. It's a belt on. At least I get some of my Social Security back that way.
Hey.
Wait for her to die. Drawing those death benefits.
Like, I just pay it in and get it right back.
Get right back in, yeah. It's what I call smart investment.
This is half my money, bitch.
Oh, fuck.
Man.
Well,
So something I wanted to say, we talked last week about our Facebook page. We got a Facebook page, B&J on the Rocks. You can go like that. We also got an email address. If anybody wants to comment, send some comments or suggestions or questions, we'll read them. Or just say howdy, we want to hear from you guys. That is bjontheRocks@gmail.com. Feel free to send anything, whatever, videos, shit, we don't care.
yeah.
And
Titty pictures are great.
right. we'll watch them on the air.
Just put attention, Brent, so John doesn't have to see them because he's married. I don't want to put him through that.
That way
heartache.
Brent can send them to me later.
Right. Yeah, and in the YouTube channel now.
Yeah, we got YouTube channel B&J on the Rocks. Trying to stick with the
Same
simple
theme.
name. And what else? Wanted to thank everybody that has been listening.
Yeah.
I know several people that have been listening. Just thank them.
Spread it around. Feel free to spread it around.
Spread it around. Share
Act
it.
like you're a sorority girl in college and you're just looking to live life and spread it around. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Maybe not share it with your grandma. I don't know. Maybe she's into this kind of thing. But
I've seen, if she's in college and she's got a grandma that maybe 18 and 18, that's 36. She's 18 on top of that. That's only 54. I mean,
Yeah.
I've done older, technically speaking. Like, not they weren't older, but they're older now.
Relative,
So, I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
Relatively.
yeah. I'd need more stout, but yeah.
Yeah. There's more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but no, I think that's about all I got for this week.
Yeah. So
hopefully get a guest or two in here soon.
yeah, we are hoping to. We got a few people in mind, and you guys are going to like them, pretty sure.
And if you don't, I don't give a fuck because I'll still finish.
A couple of them are listeners. So. You finish either way. You got to get that in every episode.
I'll finish either way.
I like that. All right. Well, this has been episode 3. So we enjoy everybody taking the time to listen. If you've been with us this long, we'll consider you all top shelf listeners, right?
Right.
So-
I mean, if they've been with us this long, you might as well hang in there and let me finish.
Yeah, right. However, in their defense, you've never lasted this long.
No.
Worth a shot, though.
Right, unless I'm really drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm not awake for half of it.
Yeah.
So it still counts.
Just keep riding.
Just keep going, baby.
Good night. All right, well, that's been episode 3. So thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Yep.